Nobody starts a personal training business planning for it to fail. But unfortunately, many trainers are out there accidentally doing stuff that guarantee that it will. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 6 ways to cause your business to crash so that we can learn from the exact opposite. Hi, I'm Jen, and I help trainers make that leap from gym employee to having their own dream independent business. And we know that the good examples that we have in our life, we can learn a lot from them. Equally as important are those bad examples in our life. We can learn a lot from them. Since I help so many trainers with their business, I decided to do a little bit of research on the top reasons that businesses don't survive. Why are they not successful? When I saw the list that was coming up, I said it'd be sort of a fun twist instead of being a list of here are the things why a business doesn't survive. Turning it to, if you want your business to not survive, if you want it to crash, then here is your to-do list. And this is what I'm giving you in this video. Before we dive into these 6 to-dos to crash your business, I'm going to share some stats with you. You might be a little curious to know what is the typical survival rate of small businesses. And the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics keeps track of all that data. And after the first year of a small business starting, 20% fail. So 1 out of 5, 2 out of 10 are not successful. By year 5, half of those small businesses have failed. So about 3 more businesses have gone under. And then by year 10, about 65% have failed. So another 1 to 2 businesses have gone under. So I'm in year 8 of my personal training business, and well over in year 8. And so far, so good. So I feel like my success and survival is going to continue to do well. Now, in the solo trainer, I'm just in year 2-ish of this. And so, my chances of surviving are not as high at this point. And that's why it's so important to know and understand why businesses aren't successful so that I can do everything I can in order for it to thrive. Now, when I was doing my research on these reasons that businesses fail, I could relate to a lot of them. This 7 Core, my personal training business, is not my first business. I have had other ones previous to that. Entrepreneurs and me for many years. If you're curious about that journey, I have a whole other video that I share my journey and the lessons I've learned in it. But in that, the reasons they failed are the reasons that I'm about to list here. So again, we're going to dive into these 6 ways to crash your business so that you can know what not to do. So here is, if you wanted to not be successful in your business, here is your to-do list. And not only, I will also be sharing ways on how to avoid that. All right, so let's start with tip number 1 on how to make your business fail. Don't have enough money. So the more fancy businessy type words for this are insufficient capital or cash flow. This one is probably not a shocker to most of you guys. Like, if you don't have enough money, your business isn't going to survive, right? So this is about two components of that. It's about 1, not having enough money, enough capital to get you started and to continue and to survive those first years of business slowness and getting up income. But the other piece is this is also not making sure you have enough cash flow. You're not bringing in the money that you wanted or were hoping to bring. So the ways to avoid this are, number 1, save up. If you're going to go on your own, you need to save up ahead of time. It takes a lot of money, to start your own business. And as I shared, especially if you're a trainer who has a lot of clients and are used to certain income in the gym that you're working at, when you go on your own, that is going to be shifting and changing. So you need to be prepared for that income change. And you really don't want to start your business in debt. I don't encourage you. It's just, you're independent. You're not getting a brick and mortar. So you just need to be prepared for all the finances that are involved. The second way to avoid this is to get a really good understanding of business finances. I think that's a huge thing that we don't understand as an employee and we grumble about how much we really get to take home because it's so much smaller than what the client pays. When you're running your own business, and I'm not going to go deep into explaining business finances right now, but I just want to tell you this: you're looking at maybe taking half of it home in your pocket. Okay, once you think about taxes and business expenses and all of that. So you really need to make sure you have an understanding of business finances. And this leads to the third thing that you need to do to avoid not having enough money. And that is that you price yourself to make money. So once you understand how the business finances and how much you really get to take home, then you might can understand why, you really should charge your clients about what the gym was charging, if not more. And again, I'm not going to dig into all those because there's so much into that. But if you have a set amount that you want to be taking home, you need to make sure that you are calculating and considering all these other costs. You are pricing yourself appropriately to be making money, because that's what you're here to do. You're here to be making some money. It may be something passionate that you love, but ultimately, if you're needing to survive, you need to be making the money and feel like you are making what you're worth. All right, tip number 1 to make your business fail was that you don't have enough money. So tip number 2 to make your business fail is offer unneeded or ordinary services. So the more fancier business term for this is lack of market demand, competitive or saturated market. So it's two things here. One, it's marketing your services where there isn't a demand. So that's your first thing. We believe that most everyone could benefit from having a personal trainer, but you might be trying to look for clients and market to clients who, one, are not your demographic, or maybe they're in an area that can't afford personal training. The other part of that is that there is a competitive market and you are not standing out and showing why you are the go-to person they need to be working with instead of someone else. So here are the ways to avoid failure. Tip number 2. Number 1 is market where there is a demand. So if you're trying to reach clients, you're trying to find clients, say, in an area where, one, your demographic is not located, or it may be an area that doesn't have the means to really be affording a personal trainer, then you need to consider trying to look for your clientele and market your services in another area. Maybe you might have to travel for that, but if that's where your ideal people are, that's where you need to be going. Number 2 is to offer services that your ideal client wants. So what is your ideal client? What kind of services are they looking for? Are they looking for one-on-one personal training? Are they looking for group training? Are they looking for a place to go to train? Are they wanting people to come to their home? Are they looking for workouts they can do on their own? So be sure that you're actually offering the services that your ideal client's looking for. The third thing is to share how you stand out from others. What makes you different, unique than the other trainers out there? If you're in a competitive market, what makes you the answer to your ideal customer's needs? Is it because usually a lot has to do with who's your niche? Who is it specifically that you are trying to help and want to work with? Because actually narrowing and nailing that down will really help you gain the clientele that you want. And there's more I'm going to be talking about here in a little bit on that. But, how are you standing out? You offer certain classes? Do you can show how you program and you provide a plan, where unfortunately a lot of trainers don't do that? Do you offer water and towels? Is there some little things that you do that makes your clients really see the value that you bring in, or potential clients, and how you are different? Are you knowledgeable in certain areas? That kind of thing. Failure tip number 2 is to offer unneeded or ordinary services. And so failure tip number 3 is to neglect business strategies and structures. Now, the more fancy business way to describe this is inadequate management and planning. So this is all about not understanding how a business works. This is also not wanting to take the time to create systems and processes in place so that your business runs more efficiently. This is also about not seeing your business as a business, maybe just a side hustle, just a side thing. To avoid tip number 3, here's what you need to do. Number 1, you need to shift your mindset. You need to shift from the thoughts of like being just a gym employee, just concerned about your clients and programming, to you're a business owner and you've got a lot of other things you have to think about and consider. This is not some sort of side hustle. Like, you have a legit business and you need to make sure that you run it accordingly, which leads me to the second thing you do. You need to understand about, you need to learn about business management. We already talked about sort of understanding business finances, but also about how you need to run your business, what you need in order to run it, which leads into the third thing, which is implementing systems and processes. So that you can run your business efficiently and easily. So what are you using to track your expenses, to track your income coming in, to track your client sessions, all your client data, your emails, your websites, all that sort of things? What are you doing? Your business bank account. Implementing it at the beginning will help you so much later, especially later down the road when you're full of clients and you can't even think about how to do those things. So those are the ways that you can avoid failure number 3, which is to neglect business structures and strategies. So moving on to tip number 4 on how to make your business fail, and that is use a weak client attraction system. So the more fancy formal business wording for this is poor marketing and customer acquisition. This is about not showing your value, not speaking to your ideal customer, and this is also about not having a proper structured sales funnel in place to help you acquire clients. And also, this has to do with not having a really good referral system created. So here is how you're going to avoid this failure tip. Number 1, you're going to speak to your ideal client's pain points. And so I've sort of already talked about this before, but you really want to niche down on who it is that you really want to work with and how you can best help them. That doesn't mean that you won't work with other clients. For myself, my demographic area are professionals. Older professionals, they've had their own companies, businesses, or been executives. Now, I say had because some of them are retired, some of them are currently working, but I also have outliers to that as well. But that is my main niche. And so you want to make sure that if you want for your ideal client, that you are speaking directly to them on how you can help them. The second way to avoid this is to craft a sales funnel to show your value. So we can struggle a lot with showing the value we can bring, but having a really structured sales funnel will make that much easier. My business exploded even when I was working at a trainer or a gym when I learned this technique. So I'm going to briefly just kind of talk about it, but I want you to think about what it looks like for someone to walk through from their initial conversation with you of I'm interested in personal training to when you bring them into a complimentary session and you're signing up and getting started and beyond that. How do you structure that first conversation and call to show them to get the information you want from them about what they're looking for, but also to show that you have a system, you have a programming, you are what they're looking for, here is your pricing, and let's start up for sign up for an assessment. You're in between from that time to you get to see them, whether it's even virtually, what does that communication look like? Then when you get them in for that initial session, or meet with them virtually, or whatever it is that you have, what's your structure through that? For me, we go through the intake form that I had already given them and asked them to fill out before they came in for that. I put them through an assessment. I talk with them about what I saw in their assessment and how that relates to their goals and my programming and how that works. And if we have time, I get into some moves. And then we talk about, all right, let's, these are the dates and times that work for you. Does that sound good? And yes, and they're on their way. What does that sales funnel look like that you can really show your value to your customer? The third thing you want to do is to create a referral network. Referrals are the number one way to grow your business. And this is a very active thing on your part that you're going to have to go out and do. You need to ask them with current clients. You need to ask them with friends and families. You need to ask for them going out into your community and other wellness professionals, get to know them, talk to them, see what they do so that you can be a referral for them. And that kind of referral system is going to help you create a better continuation of clients rotating through your door. So that's how you're going to avoid failure tip number 4. On to now tip number 5 on how to make your business fail. And that is to create an unexpected disruptor. The more businessy words to describe this was economic conditions or an external shock. Now, you can't really, most of the times this is going to be out of your control, that you're creating something that's causing your business, you're creating something that's out of your control for your business to fail. So these are things like a pandemic happening. These are things like some natural disaster occurring. These are things like big government layoffs, which has been a big thing here in our DC area. A major change or health issue that's come up with yourself or a family member that's all of a sudden changing your clientele coming in, or even your ability to train. So this is obviously not something that you want to ever create, or really stuff that's out of your control. But it happens. Sometimes this stuff happens, and you do need to be prepared for these things that could cause your business to crash. So in order to avoid these unexpected disruptors to completely upend this business that you love, first thing you're going to want to do is save up. Make sure that you are saving up money in your savings, in your business, so that when you have a drop in your clients, you don't have a panic and you realize, okay, I'm going to be okay. I have some cushion until things build back up. The second thing that you're going to need to do is to come up with new offerings. You're going to need to have a shift. In the pandemic, it was going online, right? It was crafting workouts for people. If somebody has lost their job, there's been some job loss, maybe you said, hey, training twice a week is no longer feasible. Well, what about this option? What if I start creating workouts that you do on your own, and we check in every 4 weeks and I create you a new workout? So where can you sort of make some shifts in your offerings in order to still try to retain some business and not completely lose everything based on these disasters? And the third way to avoid this is actually to take on a little bit bigger client load than you would ideally like. Enough in our business that we have ebb and flows, especially with clients that go on vacation, or they get sick, or they get injuries, or they have surgeries. And so if ideally, I would like to be seen having 25 sessions a week, that's what my average needs to be in order to make the income I want. Well, you obviously have to be doing more than 25 sessions in a week. You have to sort of take on more clients and have more hours. If everybody was to show up in the week, it needs to be more than you would want to take. But I don't know about you, I don't know if I've ever gone a week where everybody was shown up, because if all my clients showed up, boy, would it be absolutely exhausting. You're going to want to sort of take on a little bit more, but don't compromise on your hours. I say that. That's really important. Don't compromise on your time or the days that you train just to take more of those in. You just might need to widen your gap, widen your training just a little bit, but make sure you still maintain some boundaries upon that. That's how you're going to avoid failure tip number 5. And now we're going to finish up with the 6th tip to cause your business to crash. And that is to do it all by yourself. The more fancier business terms might be get burnt out and personal limitations. And so this has a few components to it. One, it's about that you're not getting any help. Two, that you don't create boundaries around your working hours, clients that you do take, or how far you will travel. This is also about like not taking time off, not scheduling time for yourself. And then therefore you can easily get kind of burnt out and not as interested. And when you get burnt out, a lot of times that can impact how you train, and your clients can notice that, and it may influence your client retention. So here are the ways to avoid doing failure number 6. Number 1 is delegating time-consuming tasks. Get help in those areas that takes you a lot of time to do and you're not very good at it and don't enjoy doing. Yes, you have to pay someone, and that costs money, especially getting started and you're not making a lot of money, and you could do this on your own, but it would take you way longer. And turning your attention from focusing on business building when, and which could lead you to making more money faster, rather than kind of delegating these tasks that would be better for someone else honestly to do. And one of those, for example, is getting a business accountant. Most of us are not well versed in the world of finances, and if we have somebody that can help us take care of that, especially when it comes to taxes, it's worth every single penny. And so what are some other things that people that you can get to kind of help you, that will help you be able, again, to build your business faster? And that may be also getting a coach, for example, that can help guide you. The second thing to do to avoid this is to stick to your boundaries. You need to have boundaries, and sort of just already mentioned it, boundaries around the times that you train, when you'll work on business, your time off, doing your workouts, where will you travel and not travel to, what's the distance for that? Because when you honestly don't stick to those boundaries, that's when the burnout can really happen. You really want to protect, what your ideal business times and travel and all that look like. And there's another component to this that you really need to protect, and that is your cancellation policy. You need to have a strong, firm cancellation policy and not be so lenient if people cancel last minute and you're not getting paid for it. Be sort of a scary thing for us to have to, tell people no or tell people they don't get to, but you need to have a strong cancellation policy up front so your clients know that. That for me, their first initial even conversation with me, I am telling them about my cancellation policy so that they're aware. Okay, the third thing to help you avoid failure tip number 6, and that is to schedule time off. You need to schedule time off. I know as a trainer, if we're not working, we don't make money. So that's one of the reasons why you need to price your services and think about how many clients you're taking in per week, for the fact that you're gonna take time off. How many weeks out of the year or days out of the year do you not wanna be taking clients? So you need to factor that in what you really wanna make on an average weekly basis. And it's important for you to take that time off, and your clients are gonna be okay. So make sure that you take that time off for restoration, renewal, all that sort of stuff. There are the ways to avoid tip number 6 for making your business fail. So let's go through these 6 tips on how to make your business fail, so we know what not to do. Number 1, don't have enough money. Number 2, offer unneeded or ordinary services. Number 3, neglect business strategy and structure. Number 4, use a weak client attraction system. Number 5, create an unexpected disruptor. And number 6, do it all by yourself. So if you really want to create a business that you love and not have to go back for working for someone else, this is what you need to avoid. And if you're wanting to get more on what exactly you need to do to make sure that your business doesn't fail, check out this video that I've done on the 6 foundational pillars of having a business, and it's going to give you everything you need to do to have a strong, successful business. And what's fun about these 6 foundational pillars is they are a lot like the 6 components of having a well-rounded fitness program. So click here to learn more.